recent weeks, there has been a great deal of attention centered around the unusual events happening at the Earth's poles. Both poles are behaving quite strangely, which is making it more difficult for scientists to conduct accurate forecasts regarding the changes occurring at the ends of the world. At this moment, we are seeing opposite effects playing out across these polar regions. The Arctic is suddenly seeing a dramatic increase in sea ice, while Antarctica is seeing record heat and a sharp decline in the overall extent of the glacial ice shelves. Recent data taken between the fall of 2019 and February of this year is showing that the sea ice within the Arctic polar circle is increasing and has actually reached its largest February ice cover in the past 11 years. The sudden increase is significant because it wasn't that long ago that the sea ice appeared to be in a steady decline. So the opposite effect is happening now. But why? In recent years, we have seen the Earth's jet stream acting erratically, where the north to south polar vortex dips much further into the southern latitudes towards the equator, creating a weaker jet stream that produces more intense winter storms in the mid-latitudes. This year, we are seeing the complete opposite effect. The polar vortex is creating a strong jet stream that is remaining much further to the north, where the frigid air is concentrated in the polar regions. The change in the atmospheric circulation patterns this year is having an unusual effect on the climatic conditions across the northern hemisphere. The profound effects of an unpredictable jet stream with positive oscillation occurring in the northern extremes are now evident. At this moment, much of the United States and parts of Europe are having what is referred to as a mild winter. But the same cannot be said for the Arctic polar region, where sea ice is showing signs of recovering, at least for the moment. Meanwhile, in the North Atlantic, explosive cyclogenesis is taking place. What is so noteworthy about the atmospheric conditions across the North Atlantic is the frequency and the intensity of the storms that have been created, where 3 extratropical systems formed within just 10 days. Now, this is unprecedented in that it just doesn't happen on such a grand scale as we are seeing this year. Remember the saying that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That saying certainly rings true in this regard. These immense systems, referred to as bomb cyclones, are developing rapidly in the North Atlantic, and they are reaching incredible intensity in a region that has already
near the village of Tal again, and I've stopped at this place on the road where there appears to be this very sizable displacement in the land here. This huge uplift of, it looks like at least a foot has come right along here and gone right across the road. This is quite incredible, just how much the ground has risen here. What I'm going to try and do is cross the road and have a look over there where you can get a better view of what's happened. There's a smaller crack here in the road which precedes the main fissure up here, and yeah, it runs over there across the road and then up through this wall and then beyond, and the volcano is in that direction. This crack runs straight towards Tal. Here's another crack across the road near Tal volcano, but what's interesting about this one is when it goes off to the side, you can really see how clearly it just ripped open the surface here. And this is pretty wide, you know. Just put my foot there for comparison. That is a pretty hefty, sizable crack. I'm kind of off the beaten track here near the lake and driving along this pretty rural road, and here's another one of these huge cracks caused by the uplift of magma deep beneath the surface here. It's causing this kind of uplift, and it's just really ripping up these roads, and this is a really crazy thing to see. I'm trying to get to the Pansipit River, and it's proving to be quite difficult because the road I took yesterday to get in that general direction has been closed down by the police, which is obviously completely fair enough. And on this road, again, these big cracks opening up, and uplift has torn it up considerably, and there's no way I'm getting my car up here. You look over here, you can see the crack going through this property. It's crazy.
لا هو الجراد وصل عندنا، هذا غزانة، هذا كنا سيهاب. لا هو احمر بعد. احمر هو غزانة، شوف.
It's like fireballs in the air that explode, cars blowing up before the fire even gets near. It's unprecedented. We've had, loss of life at our little community, and we're all devastated by this.
heartbreaking to come along here, and the fence line's just littered with animals that have tried to get out, and they've broken through the fence here trying to get through. And look at this, it's disturbing. It is really, really disturbing. That is just such a waste.
We're going to begin with the chaos in Puerto Rico. A 6.4 earthquake and multiple aftershocks rocking the island just a day after a 5.8 earthquake destroyed multiple homes.
This was felt across the island, the most powerful earthquake yet, followed by a swarm of at least 11 more.
Taal volcano has now entered a magmatic eruption phase. Last night it was a phreatic phase where there was lots of steam and ash. Now there is lava flowing from the volcano. Now the other major risk that the scientists are saying is that there could be a volcanic tsunami.
More than 1,000 people were injured. Many others are feared trapped.
In the immediate aftermath of the quake, panic and confusion as first responders rushed to the scene, saving whoever they could. By sunrise, the scale of the disaster was clear. Neighborhoods devastated, homes flattened by the sheer force of the quake. Rescue teams worked in near freezing temperatures.
Africa is suffering from one of the worst locust outbreaks in the continent's history. For the locals, the infestation means much more than just having to stay indoors. They've eaten everything, farmers complain, brought to the brink of desperation. with their plantations left barren, people facing famine by the voracious swarms of insects, swarms larger than cities.
At least 16,000 people have been displaced by floods across 7 regions of Madagascar in recent days. Roads linking northwestern parts of the island to the rest of the country have been washed away. The government has declared a state of national emergency.
The problem is food. There isn't enough because their houses have been damaged. The food and everything else is in the water. They left everything behind. The main thing is to survive.
雄狮家族的各位亲友们、各位长辈们，我是金慧。我目前还在武汉汉口这个疫区。我向大家汇报一下，目前我们整个湖北甚至全国的疫情情况。
China's war against coronavirus is being waged around the country as it spreads to every province and territory. So far, the virus is winning, with the number of infections and deaths growing by the day. There's not enough medical personnel either, which the government is trying to address by sending thousands of extra doctors and nurses, both civilian and military, to Hubei.